everyone, thanks for clicking. I am Niharika. Well, in today's lesson, we are going to look at some expressions with the word cry. Now, you shed tears in pain and sorrow. But in English, we do have expressions that you can use in your daily conversation using the word cry. So they are not only related to crying and whining, but you can use it in your daily conversation as well. So let's get started. There are 6 expressions here, and let's look at the very first one. A crybaby. Now, who is a crybaby? Well, someone who cries for anything and everything. So someone who cries on all silly matters, always whining, always complaining, well, that person is a crybaby. Especially kids. Have you ever noticed kids are always whining? If he's not a happy child, he's always whining and complaining, so he is such a crybaby. But then it's not just kids. Now I know adults who are always complaining and crying about everything, about every situation. So they are crybabies. So use this expression for someone who is always crying and whining about silly things. Okay, so they are crybabies. If you have a friend, then you're gonna say, oh, you are such a crybaby. Look at you. You're always whining and complaining. So that's how you can use this expression. Now, the second expression that I have for you with the word cry is cry over spilled milk. You know, in life, at times, we are very unhappy and worrying about things that have just happened, but there's no point because you cannot really rectify or undo these things, right? So for example, you bumped your car into a tree. Okay, now you bumped your car into a tree and there's nothing that you can do about it. So there's no point worrying and crying over this because you really can't go back in time and change the situation. So what's the point crying over the spilled milk? So some situation that you are worrying about and are extremely unhappy about it that cannot be undone or rectified, then you are crying over spilled milk. So that's how you would use this expression. Okay? Let's have a look at the third expression here. Cry me a river. Now, when do you use this? Now, this expression is used in a very sarcastic way. Now, there are people that you meet in life who are always complaining about something and you really don't care. You're very unsympathetic to these people. Then you sarcastically comment, cry me a river. For example, your colleague, okay, he is complaining that he's not got a raise. He's hardworking, he's telling you, look at me, Niharika, I'm so hardworking and I'm so diligent about my work, but I haven't got a raise. So if I have to be sarcastic and I really don't care, then I'm gonna say, oh, cry me a river. I have been working for this company for 5 years now and I haven't got a raise. So I'm being sarcastic. I really don't care what you are going through. Look at my situation. So that's how I would use this expression. Now let's have a look at the fourth one. Cry in one's beer. Now this expression is used for self-pity. Now the people, especially your friends, probably they go through a breakup or they're not getting a job and they're complaining and they're just constantly calling you and telling you, oh, look at my life, it's just miserable. I don't see anything good happening in my life. So, they are self-pitying themselves. So they are crying in their own beer, or they are crying in one's beer. So it means that they are self-pitying themselves. So the people who keep calling you, or when they meet you, they're just complaining about their life. So it means that they are crying in their own beer. So if I have a friend who keeps complaining about her life to me, so I'm gonna say, oh, she's always crying in her own beer. You know, she needs to do something about her life now, right? So she's always self-pitying herself. The next one, cry wolf. Now, cry wolf is false alarm. Hey, do you remember the story? The boy who cried wolf? Well, the story was about this shepherd, a young boy who was a shepherd, who used to give this false alarm to the villagers that, oh my God, there's a wolf, help, save us. And the villagers used to come running with their sticks and everything that they could to help that shepherd. But the villagers used to realize that the boy is just playing a prank. And when really a wolf came, the villagers thought that it's just a false alarm and let's not go save this boy. And that wolf ended up attacking the sheep and the boy, right? Remember that story as a child? I'm sure you all have heard about this story. So this phrase comes from that story, cry wolf. Well, it is used now as an expression in English where someone is trying to get some help when they really don't need it. So it's like a false alarm. Like my cousin, she's always screaming in the house that there's a mouse in the house. But I know it's just a false alarm. So I'm going to say, oh, she's just crying wolf. Okay, so that's how I would use this expression. So someone who's always lying or just asking for help when it's not really needed, then you can say, oh, she's just crying wolf. Okay, so that's how you use this expression. And then the last one that I have for you is crying shame. Crying shame is a very unfortunate situation. When things are just not going right, then it's a crying shame. So, you know, it's very unfortunate. Like my cousin, she filed for a divorce. She lost her job. She doesn't have much money. So it's just that, you know, things are not great in her life. So it's a crying shame. It means she's just facing a very unfortunate situation in her life right now. Another example for you. Maybe your colleague is facing a very bad time. His wife is not well and you know, he's not doing great in his career. So it's a crying shame. So it's a very unfortunate situation that your colleague is going through. So that's how you would use this expression. Okay, so it's not just about crying and whining and complaining, but yes, use these expressions rather than just saying that I'm crying, she's crying, he's crying. Go ahead, use this to sound very fluent and confident in English. And I'll be back with a new lesson soon. Till then, you take care. Hi friends, I'm Niharika. Well, English is the most widely spoken language. But at times, people do mispronounce certain words. Now, there are different reasons for it. You know, there are words that are always being mispronounced by so many people. So people tend to think, well, that's the pronunciation. So in this lesson, I have picked up around 15 random English words which are usually mispronounced by many people. So we are going to learn how to pronounce these words correctly. So let's get started. The very first one, the dry fruit. Well, it's pronounced as almond. Many people tend to pronounce it as almond. I would like to eat 5 almonds. That's incorrect. The correct pronunciation is almond, okay? almond. Okay, so the L is silent.